Hello, faithful viewer. I'm Phil Collinson, and I produce this episode of Doctor Who.
Hello, faithful viewer. I'm Julie Gardner. I executive produced this episode. Phil, we've been abandoned.
We have been abandoned. We were supposed to be joined today by Sam Hall, our lovely post-production supervisor, but she's got to run home and feed her dog.
I mean, can you believe it? That poor dog.
Blown out by a dog.
I know, I'm a bit scandalised,
really. It's not actually
really.
the first time.
No, it's not the first time.
For either of us. There we go. So we're just having a little review here of the last episode, episode 12, which actually this morning we've just done the final mix for, which is where we put the music
I feel a bit wrung out.
It's
what's the date? It's the 12th of June,
yes.
And we transmit in 3 weeks.
Yes.
Episode 12, and
yes.
we've just final mixed, which, as Phil's just said, is when we put the dialogue and the music and the sound effects together, and essentially it's the very last stage for us of putting the episode to bed. And I feel a bit wrung out. I feel a bit kind of exhausted and a bit sad because we had a big cry in it, didn't we?
We did. We had a big cry today. We always have a cry in the dub when they.
Well, that's you.
Yeah. Okay. You just outed me as a crier to the nation.
I know. Now, I think the other thing that we should out is that we're watching this podcast with no sound at all.
Yeah, no sound and actually very few special effects.
Is that because I don't have my headphones on?
Julie has been sat with no headphones on.
That's all right, we're going to keep going though. People are running forward to try and help me.
So actually I could say anything about her at this moment and she wouldn't hear me.
No, I can hear you because I'm sitting next to you on the sofa, but I haven't got my headphones on. How hilarious is that? I've got my microphone but no headphones. It's been a long day.
It's been a long day and it's only 2:20. Okay, we should talk about this programme that we've made, I suppose, shouldn't we, really?
We should. So this is episode 13, which we are 2 weeks away from final mixing.
Yes, indeed. 2 weeks away because we're literally going to be running up Oxford Street with this tape because it's all so late this time. There's so many special effects in it that it's taken much longer than usual to put it all together, really.
So we're looking at a very strange picture now with a guide almost like toy Dalek that Eve Miles is attempting to touch through the...
Yeah. Yes. Then we are with the ubiquitous hand. Thank goodness it's...
Thank God for the hand. I mean, a climax to episode 12.
I love that about Russell's writing, that he's kind of kept that hand bubbling away, as it were.
For the whole series.
For the entire... since Christmas.
Yes.
The first Christmas special we did, really, which is years ago now. Hooray.
But I just hope that at the end of episode 12 there were 8-year-olds watching Phil thinking, my God, he really is regenerating.
I know. Well, they will be. I love that about it.
And I'm waiting for that whole week with that to be continued.
Well, it is true that I did, when I opened and finished reading episode 12, first thing I did was ring you and say, have you both pulled something off that you haven't been telling me about?
It's so secret.
Because I could absolutely imagine that you had done that you'd completely... pulled off a huge piece of casting and not told me.
Yeah. Paranoia sets in.
It does. It completely sets in.
So, Phil, you're in a new job currently. You're working in Manchester, so you've just popped back to Cardiff for the final mix. How does it feel?
It's very odd to be back here and not be in my flat and going to the supermarket for some shopping and sort of living really here. It's very, very odd after 4 years. It does. It feels strange. That's the only way I can describe it. It's sort of a bit like something's missing. It's very strange. But lovely to pop back. I don't think I'll ever get away from Cardiff, actually.
No, I don't think so. We'll just keep pulling you back in.
I'll be popping back for the rest of my life, I think.
Well, there'll always be podcasts in the future. when we remaster or we do the director's cuts of each episode from the last 4 years, surely.
Lordy, can you imagine the director's cuts of this show?
Oh.
My goodness me.
Well, on this episode, we will be able to talk about that because at the end of this episode, there's a very controversial cut that was made.
Yes,
which let's not talk about now. We will get to it in about 50 minutes.
Yeah,
but that would definitely be in director Graham Harper's cut.
It would.
And you would be supporting him while Russ and I would be standing
100%.
in front of a tank saying no, no, no.
We had a huge face-off about one particular moment that we'll talk about in a little while.
So meanwhile, tell me about this night that we're seeing Daleks on the streets of Cardiff, Phil. How easy was that?
Daleks on the streets of Cardiff.
Doddle?
Well, I mean, As you can imagine, you'll notice they're really quite static. There's one sequence where they move around in episode 12 quite a lot.
When they blow up the house,
when they blow
with the
up the
game
house,
position.
which we had to pick a very particular street to do, really. Because obviously the last thing we want is for the Daleks to be bouncing around all over the place and really revealing that they couldn't really conquer a Cardiff street, let alone the entire universe. So they're really quite static. I mean, it was a huge treat. Imagine being a child in Cardiff. You go along to watch a bit of Doctor Who filming, because we were literally on a street where people live.
How many people came out to watch you?
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people were there. It was a living nightmare. But we got through it. We did it, and it's just a big logistical kind of nightmare, because obviously filming's hard enough, but it's much harder if you're trying to keep 200 people quiet who are quite naturally very excited because they've never seen a Dalek in the flesh moving around ever. So it's kind of a particularly exciting moment for them. But yeah, we got through it. We did it, and.
So here we are, we're in the TARDIS, and we have Rose and Donna and Captain Jack.
I know.
How exciting is that?
What a great moment.
To bring all these characters back.
Yeah. Well, it was difficult for us, really, wasn't it, to get everybody... Not as difficult as I actually imagined it was going to be, to just get all of these actors to kind of be in Cardiff at the same time across 4-5 weeks of filming. Was a huge feat of ingenuity, really, I think, on your part mainly, Julie, because you were the one.
I don't know.
You were the one talking to the agents and shuffling things around and making it work. But yeah.
And then remember, it was all working, and Billie Piper got married. And went on honeymoon.
Billie Piper went on honeymoon, so we had to shift
But she came back with a marvellous suntan.
Yes, she did. and of course, a husband.
Hooray.
Who was around for a lot of this filming.
He was. That was great.
He was, and the dog.
Lovely Lawrence Fox. Did the dogs come as well?
The dogs came as well, yeah.
Well, it's just a dog theme for this podcast, from Sam Hall and her dog through to Billie Piper post-honeymoon dogs.
Oh, my Lord.
What dog does she have? Oh, I know. She's got that little one. I remember, yes.
Little thing.
Bert or something he's called.
Something like that. She's probably shouting at the screen now if she's watching this. So yeah, we are. I hasten to add, we are watching this with temporary special effects,
which are hilarious.
Which
are like little matchbox TARDISes.
The most basic special effects. So that the set there that you see that we're cutting between with a red Dalek on it, and the set they're about to walk into with. Oh, no, they don't walk into the set with Davros, do they? They go down to the set with Davros. But that was one set that we repainted, faithful viewers, so you see how well we manage and look after your licence fee. It's
quite scary seeing the TARDIS without the lights on, isn't it?
It
in
is
this dead state, like we've seen in the Bad Wolf in the Turn Left episode.
Yeah.
It's kind of disturbing seeing his home like that.
Dead. And we should be hearing a heartbeat now, but we're not hearing a heartbeat now. We're still tweaking around with the heartbeat to get it exactly right.
That's very important. That was one of our main notes in episode 12's final mix.
It was this morning. Marvellous Catherine Tate there, acting her socks off.
Oh, Russell is a very cruel man for what he does to Donna in this episode.
It breaks my heart. I may well actually cry today.
I'm still in my angry phase about it, so I may not cry. I'm still fighting for the character.
So, of course, the last time these three met, Dr. Jack and
Rose,
they were facing the Daleks, weren't they?
They were. At the end of Series 1.
End of Series 1. And actually, you feel as if they have met and been together, but actually the three of them hadn't all together at the same time, which is kind of strange, because obviously it was Chris playing the good old Doctor.
Dr. 9?
Yeah.
So now we're in our set.
Yep. In up a boat in Cardiff. A Dalek Crucible in Cardiff. How marvellous. That shot we just saw then was actually Catherine Tate's last shot of the series.
Was it? Of course. We had to bring her back in for it on the Friday morning.
We had to bring her back in for
That's right.
We felt that we need the close-up before she went back home.
What a way to end.
What a way to end. Looking at the set. So she actually shot her last scene with nobody else. She wasn't actually looking out on that set at the time.
And Phil, what was your last scene?
My last
I was there for it.
scene was...
There were Daleks. We were on the set, weren't we?
The last scene we did was... Oh, yeah, it was loads of shots of the Red Dalek.
That's
We
right.
left all his shots to the very end of the shoot and did them all at once.
Faithful viewer, he went on holiday and we had a week left.
Okay.
But he left all the simple stuff.
I left all the
big
easy stuff behind.
Yeah, you
for
did.
them.
It's very, we underrun so much. I was standing there going, exactly.
Half a day early one time.
I know. I was like, well, this producing lark, it's easy. I remember it. What's he made such a fuss about? But no, you were marvellous. You did all the complicated big stuff and left us with the green screen.
Yes, well, some big stuff.
It all went swimmingly.
Another hilarious temporary special effect there.
Oh, I know. And these roundels were really important. We kept doing pickups of these roundels. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Russell kept saying he wanted more and more exploding roundels because that was really selling the TARDIS in trouble.
Yes.
And we've never done it before.
No.
We've done fires, but never...
Do you think we get away with it? It's a shame
we
didn't blow this. It's a shame we didn't really blow them up and put her in the same shot as some of it.
Yes.
It's a bit of a shame, I think.
Yeah, it is a little bit, but I think we do get away with it.
Good. As long as you do.
Yes. Good. And I love the flame bars in this scene. It's really effective.
Yeah. There is... this next sequence with Donna was another one that was really tricky to get absolutely right. We actually reshot some of it because we weren't quite getting the just the key moments and the realization from her that the heartbeat was coming from the hand and she had to reach out for it, and it was really tricky to get right, actually. It's just the precision sometimes of Russell's writing, isn't it? You've absolutely got to stick to it and follow it, because he's asked all the questions of himself in terms of what the moments are, and he really spells them out really clearly in his script, and we actually missed some of them, if I'm honest, when we shot it the first time, so we did have to do some pickups.
And also leaping a couple of minutes ahead, but once the second Doctor is born in the TARDIS, as is about to happen, everything went very calm, didn't it?
Yes,
on what
did.
we'd shot. And it almost felt like his birth was solving the problem and the danger to the TARDIS. Well, that's not the case. It's what he does with the console and the buttons he presses.
Yeah.
So we had to do some more pickups around all of that.
Poor David was just laying on that cold steel floor in very little. And do you know what? It was cold.
Was it?
It was March when we filmed this. It was absolutely freezing.
Did he complain?
No, of course
He's a trooper. He's an absolute starship trooper.
They're holding hands again, the famous Dr. Rose hand-holding moment.
I love a bit of hand-holding between the Doctor and companion.
You do.
Yeah.
You always ask for it to go
I
in.
do. We're always picking up hands.
Could they hold hands at this moment, please? Done a great job directing the Daleks in this episode, I think, Graham.
Oh, fantastic.
That whole idea that there's someone, there's something boiling inside there and twitching and
Well, it feels like they've all got little personalities because they're all reacting, aren't they, individually and looking around. And
they're all kind of looking at each other and there's a little bit of twitching going on. And
constant twitching. Great. Every shot of a Dalek you want to see... want to see twitching and interaction. And so here we have Captain Jack killed again by a Dalek.
Again. Oh, Lordy.
And these are the small moments of Russell's writing that I absolutely love, how he ties everything up. Because, of course, Rose doesn't know that Captain Jack can be reborn.
No.
And yet he does that so economically, because that could have really slowed down the scene. There's a lot of exposition and history in this episode to cover, and he does it with such extraordinary economy.
Yes, he does. It's brilliant. Really lovely.
I mean, even that moment where we were cheering this morning in the final mix for episode 12, which is where did Harriet's money come from, or the development, or the Mr. Copper Foundation for the subwave. It's just a lovely kind of nod back to the history of the show in the last 4 years, but done in a very small, detailed way.
Oh. Harriet, who I do have to tell you wasn't exterminated by the Daleks, because we did cut out of that scene a minute before, or just a second actually, before she pulled a lever and plunged through a trapdoor and saved herself. That's what I'm telling myself. That's what I told Penelope on the day.
Yeah, you are a puppy.
And that's what I'm telling myself.
Harriet Jones has given her life for the greater good.
No, she hasn't. She hasn't. And Stephen Moffat, new showrunner, if you are sitting out there, she hasn't. She's alive, and you can bring her back.
Is that your plea to return her? Okay.
You can bring her back. And actually, who better to lead the post-apocalyptic Earth than Harriet Jones, is what I say.
Oh, I love her.
Me too.
Now, what I love are these two in the TARDIS, and this was magical from the moment I read it on the script to hearing it in the read-through to then seeing it on the rushes and to now.
Yeah.
The comic timing between the two of them, the pace of it, the way that David, as written in the script, has suddenly modulated the Doctor so that he's got Catherine's Donna, her intonation, her words, the wizard words. It just works. They're defined, the two Doctors. Not just brown suit, blue suit. They're absolutely defined.
I mean, again, and it's moments like this or opportunities like this for David that actually just remind you how much of a performance he gives as the Doctor, actually. Because you kind of think, oh, that is David, when, when he plays the Doctor. Of course, it's not. He's a million miles away from David. And then he comes along and gives a performance like this, which, again, is a completely different Doctor.
Yeah.
He's magnificent, I think.
I think sometimes because it's a series format, sometimes the acting gets taken for granted because it's every week. Oh, you're just in every single week. It's a big different story with huge requirements and ambition. And David to have the stamina to lead the show across 9-10 months of the year and be this consistent with always his lines in, with this engagement in the character.
Yeah, it's astonishing, isn't it?
I've never seen an actor come so prepared to a read-through.
No. He's made his
choices
decisions,
are
hasn't he,
extraordinary.
He's wonderful.
And what a great year opposite Catherine.
I know.
I just love her. So here we are, Castle Court.
Bavarian Castle in Cardiff.
This location was a nightmare because remember, it was going to be Hansel and Gretel's cottage. I think was how it was described in the script.
Which we couldn't find a cottage in the middle of a wood anywhere.
We couldn't, and we tried. You tried.
We just couldn't. There was a brilliant moment on a recce that I actually didn't go on, where the location manager showed us pictures of what looked like the most amazing log cabin in the middle of the wood ever. Graham Harper trooped down there at midnight because he needed to see it in the middle of the night. They walked down a hill and they could see this cottage in the distance and it looked fantastic. And they came over the brow of the hill and they realised it was in a children's playground and it was a quarter scale. The lunatic who took them there. I love that.
Oh, that's brilliant. We could have made that work. Surely we could have made that work for the Osterhagen key.
Freema and...
this is Valda Avex, who
Freema
is
and Valda.
Amazing performance.
I think she's one of the best guest performances we've ever had. I think she's wonderful. I want her to have her own series. I want her to bring back Secret Army just so that we can cast
back Valda
as the lead.
I think she's amazing.
I think she
it's
is,
so real. And it's the way she holds that gun and it's trembling.
Yeah.
And the emotion in her voice.
It's everything, the costume, the hair, everything. And she came to the read-through and she came up to me after the read-through and she said she was brilliant in the read-through. And she said to me that it was one of the best days of her life.
Oh.
Her life, imagine that.
Well,
listening to this, Valda, we love you.
We so love you. Thank you so much.
We want you to have your own series.
I mean, look at her face there. It's brilliant.
I just want to know her story. And I'm sure someone will write a book or something which explains it, but I just do.
But that was also one of the maddest read-throughs ever, wasn't it? Because we had so many of our marvellous actors back. Nicholas Briggs with his voice modulating box to play the Dalek. It was a real party, wasn't it?
It was a real party. And Doctor Confidential filmed it because Russell was ill at home and so couldn't make it. But
the only read-through, let's face it, he's ever missed.
The only one he's ever missed because he was really ill. And so we filmed it and sent it to him. So it became more of a performance for them than ever, really.
Brilliant. I loved that read-through. And it was your last read-through.
It was my last read-through, yeah.
Did you cry? I can't remember.
Oh, of course I cried.
Yeah, of course you did. I was just saying that up for you.
Yeah, of course I cried. So that's a corridor set that we see Sarah Jane and Jackie and Mickey walk down a bit later on. I think this was one of the last things you filmed of the series, wasn't it?
This was on our Saturday half day because we were so ahead of schedule for Philip Collinson.
Well, come off it. Who couldn't film all of this in one little room?
Well, that's right. It was like done and dusted in like an hour, and then there was a bit of a delay over dropping keys on the floor.
Oh right, fair play. Here we go.
Yeah.
So that Dalek that went past them was driven by Gethin Jones from Blue Peter.
Hooray!
And there is the magnificent Julian Bleach, who actually deserves an Oscar just for staying in that prosthetic for 2 weeks. Literally.
Did he get very uncomfortable?
Well, if he did, he never said.
Didn't he?
He literally had that put on at 5:30 in the morning, and he was still in it some days at 7 o'clock at night. I mean, had to eat his lunch through it. I mean, just the most amazing performance, actually. You know, and was completely there. Whenever you turn the camera around and kind of shoot from his point of view, you know, obviously he's still sat there off camera giving a performance for the other actors. And never flagged for a second. Absolutely magnificent.
Brilliant.
And I'm so chuffed that...
he's wonderful.
That he played it. I saw him play the MC in Cabaret, and I thought he was just... amazing, and
he's physically extraordinary, and his voice, he's got so much presence, even under so much rubber, frankly.
Well, he has it. Well, it is. It's one of those amazing prosthetics too, because Neil Gorton's given it so much life. You know, it really fits his face so brilliantly that actually you can imagine what what Davros would have looked like before he was scarred. That's the brilliance of it. And you know, and you also forget he's got no eyes. You know what I mean? Which sounds like it doesn't sound like a small thing, but you know, it
sounds like a small thing. I'm sorry, faithful viewer. I do have to pull you up there, Phil.
But
it's quite a big
He's
thing.
got no eyes, which what for an actor, I mean, is such an essential part of anybody's performance.
Absolutely.
He's got no eyes, and yet I think
so
he's
expressive.
Mesmerising.
Great performance.
Yeah, it is. Wonderful voice.
And then, of course, talking of voices, Nicholas Briggs playing all the Daleks, and my personal favourite, Dalek Khan. I love that soprano, lilting, sing-song Dalek Khan voice. That is so wonderful.
I bet he's great to have a party, Dalek Khan. He sounds like a right laugh, doesn't he?
I think he is. Yeah, I think he'd be a bit of a raver, wouldn't he? He'd be on the dance floor, swivelling around.
Oh, Lordy. They're going to miss him in Dalek Towers.
Well, absolutely.
Right.
Maybe he was under a trapdoor as well.
It was a real feat for Julian to move that wheelchair around as well. He's really got it, you know, again...
How much practice did you give him?
Well, he came in for half a day and practiced, really. He was practicing every minute he wasn't on camera. I mean, it is that classic thing of being... Because he's pushing it himself. He's literally walking along underneath there.
And it's that dangerous wobble, isn't it?
Well, exactly, and it's that thing as well of making it glide along, and he's working away with his legs, but he can't let any of his upper body show the effort that he's making, because he would look ridiculous.
So, Phil, we should also talk about this episode being 60 minutes long.
Yes.
Which was something that I had in my head for a good week before I remembered that I had to tell you. Because Russell phoned me up saying, can we get an overrun? BBC One had scooped it up with joy. Yeah. And we were marching on, and then I thought, oh, yes, of course, 60 minutes.
Because
difficult to schedule, and where are we?
60 minutes means we've got to put another week onto the shoot, which Julie neglected to tell me. Actually,
it was a minor thing, like not having any of your eyes.
Until the morning. The morning the script arrived. And I remember you ringing me and me being very, very frosty.
He was very grumpy. You were a bit kind of like... Whereas I'd gone through the grumpiness and I was in the excitement of we're going to have 60 minutes, not 45.
I was very frosty.
You were frosty.
There we go. I'm apologising now for my frostiness, Julie.
It's months on. I don't know. I hold a grudge.
This was hell of a shoot to do, this one, because... It was February, I think, and we were freezing to death in the middle of a completely derelict, I think it was another paper mill, something like that. Completely without any facilities whatsoever. It was really tough. And we had far too much to shoot as well. Graham Harper got through that by some miracle, really.
He is amazing. Yeah. And I don't think he'll ever know how great he is to work with Graham and how much he cares.
Yeah. At the age of 942, he's only a year younger than the Doctor.
He is. But he's like a whippet around the place, isn't he? He's extraordinary.
Puts me to shame.
Well, all of us, dear me. So we have two doctors. It doesn't get finer than that.
Did you ever think? Brilliant. He's so brilliantly different in them as well, I think, in his performance.
Hey, Mickey Smith.
The Smiths are together. It must have been a nightmare for Russell to write this, to serve all of these characters properly and give them all a real reason to be there. I think he does that so skillfully.
And what I love about this is we've seen Camille Cadori's Jackie be very funny in the face of danger, to be the comedy mother. This is really harrowing. It's a big life or death, awful, dark moment. And she's brilliant, and it's great to see something different for Jackie here.
Yeah, it is.
Where the stakes are huge. It's the end of the series.
Yeah, well, she's grown, hasn't she, with the show, I think. That's the brilliance of it. I shot this bit. I'm sure Graham won't mind.
Sorry. You always end up having to do a bit, don't you?
I do a little bit of something, yeah. Oh, all those poor people. I mean, that was obviously a much longer sequence, which was a casualty of our having to cut back on the effect shots that we had across this episode because there were just so many of them and we'd never have got it on air.
We did have to cut back on 12 and 13, didn't we?
We did a lot.
I guess the big one was losing the Shadow Proclamation. Remember, we had all the monsters there.
Yeah, there was a scene in the Shadow Proclamation where we wanted to bring back like just about every monster we'd ever had in the show, and we had to cut it. Again, it's a real balancing act, isn't it, this show? Because you fall in love with some sequences so much, and it really is heartbreaking when you have to lose them.
Yeah. And this was one of the simpler things we had to do in the CG. Was there obviously Rose and the Doctors, Billy and David are standing in spotlights, and every so often we do a little bit of CG shimmer to show their improvement. But we couldn't do that in every shot.
No, we couldn't.
It would be a nightmare. We wouldn't make it to air. Which actually, frankly, are we going to transmit, Phil? We're at that moment, aren't we?
Well, I am going to have to put my trainers on and sprint up Oxford Street in London with this tape, I'm sure, from the mill to the transmission room at the BBC.
Now, this is Julian Bleach, amazing. You remember this was the big speech where on the rushes, when I saw it, the entire crew at the end stopped and applauded.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I know.
The madness.
I think you really believe him at that moment.
Hooray, lots of Daleks.
Lots of Daleks in lots of small flying saucers, because, of course, we actually only have 4. We have 4 in an empty one.
But there are 3. There are 3 currently in the lobby of TV Centre.
Yes, I did notice that. Are they our 3?
One. They can't be our 3. Are they worldwide 3 that they've made? But there are 3 beautiful bronze Daleks.
I think they might be our 3,
Do you think?
I think they may, because we literally trawled everywhere. We even had... one was given to a girl as a prize, I think, on Blue Peter, wasn't it? We even asked her for that back, or maybe it was from the Radio Times. So that came back, and that was one without anybody in that wasn't operated. But it sort of sits at the back and looks menacing sometimes. Hooray.
See, now this is the joy of episode 13, the team coming together.
Yeah.
And seeing all these characters. I mean, it's amazing. Obviously not Sarah Jane Smith, but I look at these scenes, and 4 years ago these characters didn't exist. It feels inconceivable to me. Rose and Martha and Donna and Jack and Mickey and Jackie. It seems that's when I feel thrilled and exhausted all at once, because it feels like it's been a massive 4 years. And such an important 4 years. These characters live, and it's brilliant to see them. And then we always have Martha Jones walking the earth
on her own. We always make her a loner, don't we?
I know, keeping the word alive. I think she's got an amazing story strand in this episode.
It is. It's what I say about Russell managing to serve them all and give them all a real proper place in these 2 episodes, which must be incredibly difficult to do. But he loves all of these characters. That's the brilliant thing.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Another gizmo. I love the Doctor with a gizmo.
And David loves gizmos, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Buttons to press.
He wants as many as he can press and push and.
See, these Daleks are moving brilliantly. Very flat floor, polished floor to get them across. She's amazing.
Just little moments, like, of course, you realise that, obviously, Martha and Rose have never met.
And you don't want to spend loads of time with that. It has to be done really quickly.
That's a great shot.
It is, isn't it? That's a great screen grab.
Yeah. We spent lots of time moving Daleks around this room so that whichever angle you cut to, we always felt like we should have some Daleks twitching away there.
That makes all the difference. Daleks, Davros and Khan in one shot.
Brilliant. Look at that.
Did Julian? How much visibility did Julian have in there?
I think it was quite good. Yeah, because at one point we thought he was going to be blind, and we said he can't be blind because he's got to steer, and he's obviously got to be able to perform. So actually, there are ways he can see through some of the folds there that go across his eyes. So he's not blind. I mean, how can you imagine if we'd made him blind for 2 weeks? It would have been awful.
Yeah, 5:30 a.m. for makeup, hot,
and then blind for the rest of the day. Bless his soul.
Oh, so now the companion's trying to help, but doing the violent thing.
That's the moment where you realise they've never met. Of course, she realises that Rose has come back.
And they all know how important Rose is to him. Brilliant. What was the hardest thing to film, Phil, on episodes 12 and 13? Because we did those in a block. So
well, I mean, really, the most difficult stuff is the stuff down in the vault there with Davros, just because there are so many elements down there. And actually, at some point, there's about to be, 4, 6, 8, there's like 10 leading characters that have to all interact there. So it was building a set that was big enough, shooting it in a way that serves them all so that you're getting shots of everybody and you're shooting right the way around that place for what is a very long sequence. I think it's obviously that sequence. But also brilliantly thrilling to stand on that set and see all of these faces. It was, for me, and, obviously for me it was my last outing as the producer on Doctor Who, and to stand there with people that, have become friends and have become... as you say, big parts of kind of British TV history now.
Huge part of your life.
To stand with them all was wonderful.
And this turning point moment that Davros has shown the Doctor who he is. Oh.
Mad Dalek Khan.
David looks so broken there, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Turns them into
killers.
Oh.
And they all know. It's like it's a punch in the gut, isn't it?
We're in danger of watching the episode now, aren't we?
We've been
pulled in. There was a moment. There was a Sugarloaf moment, wasn't there? We're going in. We must fight it. We must fight it at all costs. Oh.
Brilliant design, Davros, as well, I think.
Neil Gordon wasn't going to let anyone help him. I think he did everything himself, including every brush stroke.
I mean, the original design, the kind of the idea that he is literally half man, half Dalek. Oh, I love a flashback.
So do I. This was really hard to get right in the edit.
Yeah, it was.
We had to keep going back and looking at it, and exactly, the characters that had sacrificed themselves very directly for him. And of course, it was absolutely scripted, but it took a while to get the right shots, number of shots.
It did. Oh, look at them all. Just a brilliant... I just love a flashback. I remember being a little boy and they'd sometimes do flashbacks in Doctor Who, and you would just love it.
Would you?
You would, because you just go... You send a little shiver up your spine. A little reminder of stuff that you'd forgotten.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose...
Well, it's rewarding, isn't it? You're stuck loyal to a show that you love, and you want the memories of it.
Yeah.
Want to relive them.
Is this the moment where they all get transported into there?
Well, that was the keys dropping on the floor shot.
Yes,
you see that it took a while on the last day. It's very, very critical to get that key in the right spot.
Oh, Lordy. And again, difficult to do, moving the Daleks around so that...
But the blocking of the scene is now a nightmare. I mean, look how much coverage Graham had to do here. Yeah. You've got your singles, your two shots, your groups, you've got your Daleks, you've got Davros.
And you've got to serve them all.
Absolutely, you need all the reactions. This is huge from now on in, the blocking of this.
It is, and this is where I think he's brilliant as well, because you look at the composition of all of these shots, and it's beautiful, you know, because the pressure's on him, and he's got to rush, and he's got to get it all in the bag, and he still manages to compose a beautiful shot of Davros with Dalek Khan just behind, cheated out there, and, you know, a bit of practical lighting glittering away in the corner there, just all of it fitting together.
Yes.
And magnificent effects from the mill. We haven't said that yet.
No, I mean, they've excelled themselves again this year.
Yeah, I think
from
the Dalek
Crucible
is stunning. I mean, I genuinely think you'd see that in a movie. It's wonderful. The work and the toil that they do.
Look how mad he is now.
Brilliant.
Oh, dear me.
And it's a performance that could so easily be over the top. And of course it is over the top, but magnificently judged and pitched, I think. So wonderfully chilling, I think.
And there's this great moment, isn't it, where Davros goes backwards.
So now, of course,
Russell... he's scared.
So now, of course, Russell, you haven't just put all of those main characters in one room.
The TARDIS appears.
The TARDIS appears, and out steps another Doctor. So, of course, then you've made what is already an incredibly difficult sequence to shoot twice as difficult, because we've got David to shoot one way in one suit, to shoot another in another suit, to put green screens on him for certain moments. Oh, it just becomes...
Well, it's like it's a 3D jigsaw almost, isn't it?
A living nightmare.
Did you ever get David into the suit at the wrong time?
Oh, all the time.
All the time.
He was always having to run off and change back. You know, we'd realised that we'd forgotten a shot, or that there was or a shot couldn't be captured without him in a certain suit, or it was just...
Now, I've got to say, I do love a jerk rig, which is how Catherine there is flying through the air.
Yes.
I do that all the time in every single show. I could be making, I don't know, Casualty, and they'd be on jerk rigs. I just think it's spectacular.
It is. It makes
so
a big
exciting.
Difference, doesn't it?
Oh, it's really effective.
Yeah, it is.
You see, now, the economy of writing here about how there are two of them to explain to those characters.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
It's brilliant. And you just think that's it now. Yes. Absolutely defeated. How can he possibly get out of this now?
Yes, how is Russell going
to And I do love a Dalek
countdown,
which is obviously ticking away underneath all of this.
And here we have Catherine Tate being extraordinary as Donna.
Yeah.
As Donna Doctor. Dr. Donna.
Dr. Donna. Imagine learning this, Julie. I wouldn't even know where to start. I love a confused Dalek. Look at them, the plungers and the exterminators are going like mad.
I don't know how actors do it every night, you know, to do the on-work set.
Well, that's what I mean.
Then
you've got
go home, learn their lines.
You've got a full and really arduous day, and then you've got to go home and learn lines. I mean, every single night for 9 months of the year. I just don't understand it. I'm sure I'd be just like, I can't be bothered tonight.
No, you wouldn't. Look how you kept going on the show for 4
Well,
years.
I know, but at least I could go home and, you know...
Yeah, and then watch your rushes. Yeah, exactly. Watch your rushes, look at your schedule, get out of bed at 6, go to set.
I suppose so. Different to sitting down and learning lines, though, to physically learn.
I'd be terrible at it, I know I would. I've kind of forgotten that.
And here she is
with exams.
She's also playing the Dr. Donna, which is very... I mean, it is incredibly technical and brilliant, that performance that she gives now, because it's different.
But it's got energy and it's fun and it's confident.
Intelligence about it.
Yes, totally.
Oh.
I mean, she looks like she's having a great time.
We had a hoot doing these.
Did you?
Spinning them round.
Well, I love the later pushing them off that Rose and Martha do.
Yeah, well, that's a very classic shot. I think just about every Doctor Who companion who's ever met the Daleks has had to push one away in that way at some point.
Wow. There's something amazing about that design of that Dalek. I can't understand it.
No.
It endures. It's iconic, classic.
Wonderful.
Would you like one in your house? Would you like a full-scale one?
Well, it's funny, Russell has one in his hall, but I think it'd feel like you never get away.
Yeah. Well, we don't. You had to go to Manchester to get away. You had to take another job in another department.
4 hours up a motorway.
Exactly.
Just to stop me sneaking down and watching filming.
Actually,
I may well still do that.
We thought we saw you on during the Christmas special shoot.
If I hadn't been in America, I think I would have been.
Do you know? I think you flew back. I'm sure you were on those Gloucester streets when the public came out.
Can you imagine? I'll do that, one day. I'll just turn up quietly at night and stand with a flat cap on and a newspaper and watch. No one will know who I am.
Yeah, but you know what? It'd be fine because Russell and I'd be standing next to you in a similar disguise. So you'll be spotted, you'll be outed.
Yes. And all these, the lost planets that he feeds in throughout Series 4 too. I love that.
I just love the names. I love a good sci-fi name.
He must have such fun thinking them up. The Lost Moon of Poosh.
Yes.
There says
Clom.
Clom.
I miss Clom.
I miss Clom too, but Clom's not gone anymore. Clom's back now, in its rightful place. Oh, that golden glow.
We know that spells trouble.
Ominous golden glow. Well, we do, don't we?
Always. I mean, look where it took Rose.
Oh, Lordy. But she's all right now. Look.
She is all right. She got through that end of season 1.
And the Daleks are spinning away in the background. It's brilliant. Brilliant.
Look at them. What does it feel like seeing all those actors
I know.
Cast that you've spent months, years with?
Brilliantly.
It is,
brilliant.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it was such a lovely experience to have them all back. And, and the Daleks, and for it to be Davros, and it was such a gift. It was like a leaving gift, really. Such a brilliant pair of episodes to have gone out on.
Well, it was. It was everything. It was like a big party getting them all back.
Yeah.
With a lot of hard work thrown in.
And off goes the Emperor Dalek now. Oh, no, sorry, the Dalek Supreme.
So when are you due to online this episode, Phil?
Well, we already did it, but there was only half the effects were missing,
yeah.
so I have to go back in next week and finish it, hopefully.
Are they anxious, or are they thinking?
They're incredibly anxious.
Are they?
Yeah. Well, there is always a point where it just looks on every episode impossible, like we'll never get there, and you just have to grit your teeth, put your head down, and keep working and keep doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a complicated show to make. I mean, it's the same in the shoot, actually. Going into this shoot, I was terrified that we'd never finish and we'd never achieve it. As terrified as I was right back at the beginning in Series 1 going into the very first block of episodes. I mean, it never gets easier, this show. No. It just never gets easier. There's never a formula. There's never we know how to do it now.
And time always catches up, because where we are currently in our post-schedule, so we have the mill frantically trying to finish the CGI. Yeah. Murray Gold, our composer, is now delivering every 10 days, on average, a new score for each episode.
Yeah.
And in fact, on episode 13, he'll be delivering the music on the Wednesday for our final mix on the Friday.
Yeah.
So that's pressure.
I mean, for a show about time, there's never enough.
No.
Really, isn't it? Hilariously. I guess that's...
And then it goes so fast.
Because I think somehow, I sometimes think that the adrenaline that everybody who makes this show has to run on, it's kind of like osmosis, I think. It transfers into the programme and actually gives us a much more energetic programme.
But don't you find that also then transfers back out into your private life? So, like, everything, everything is at top speed.
You do everything at top speed. You run around the supermarket faster than anybody else. Oh, I know. It's hilarious.
It is funny.
I am now, as I've stepped away from it, enjoying relaxing again.
Have you?
Yes, I have, properly. That sort of idea.
Goodbye to Davros. Though it's presumably he's on a trapdoor as well.
Well, of course, he's got a little escape pod just behind there that he wheels off into really quickly.
And now, my favourite thing ever.
All of them on the TARDIS?
In the TARDIS, flying it together. Yep. This is the finest thing I think we've ever shot.
Yeah, I know.
It's so moving.
Wonderful,
It really, when Russell and I first saw the first cut of this, a fine cut, this scene just completely blew me away.
I know.
It was.
It is wonderful,
I mean, that was the point I started to cry. I hadn't seen that coming from the read-through or reading the script, but just the power of seeing those people together.
Yeah, and it's the joy of them as well.
It's the joy of it. Look how happy they are. Look.
Aww. Flying the world home.
Brilliant.
And again, it's all of them. I'd never shot on the Torchwood Hub, and it was brilliant to shoot on the Torchwood Hub, actually.
You got a lot in.
We did.
Yeah, you set the bar for us there. You did. Julie Scott, our head of production, was thrilled. She was virtually texting me every couple of hours with how many pages we were doing. I go, you see.
I think it was our highest page count. No, I think we shot about 6 pages on that set.
I think you did. 6 to 8, actually, I think.
And it wasn't easy stuff either.
Hey, K9.
And there's K9 as well. All that. And K9 too. Whoop-de-doo.
Well, we're back to the dog thread on our podcast.
So brilliant.
Oh, and look.
Lovely old John Leeson comes out to do the voice of K9.
Oh, John Leeson. What
he's a
gentleman.
Legend. I love this moment. All this going on and he still gets a brilliant gag in.
Yes. And doesn't she look beautiful, Camille?
She does. We were really straightforward with Louise Page, our costume designer, about Jackie having to look a little classier than we'd ever seen her, really.
Because sometimes people, think comedy mum, so they're going to go further and further and further. But Louise is the best costume designer.
Yes, she is.
And just has made it look beautiful.
Yes,
like Jackie with a bit more money in the parallel world.
Yeah, exactly. And a different attitude,
No,
actually.
I love this sequence.
Yeah,
Graham has done us proud here. The joy of it, the pace of it.
Yes. And again, it's all those interactive things. Like, look at the goldfish bowls wobbling
I
there.
know. Was the goldfish still in it?
The goldfish was actually still in it.
So the goldfish had a jacuzzi. No pets were hurt during filming.
No pets were hurt during filming, I promise. It was still swimming around when we finished.
Have you seen any of that shot at the mill?
I've seen a very rough temp of all of this. I think so. I'm slightly worried that you can't tell that it's pulling the earth along, so they're currently working on that.
Right. What, is that because the rope's not?
There isn't a rope.
No, but in inverted commas.
No, there isn't a rope at the moment, Julie. And there should be. I did have that conversation with them.
Right. You see, my spider sense was there.
Your spider sense was tingling then, wasn't it?
It was.
I referred them back to the script.
Oh, it's beautiful,
It is. But I have an idea what this shot's going to be, the Earth back in its rightful place. And it's going to be marvellous, I think, if it makes it, if it gets done in time. And all of these people hugging each other, they're all such pals as well, which I love.
And here we go, Donna and Jack. Finally, she gets a hug.
Finally, she gets that.
Because there was an earlier one, which we cut in the fine cut. Remember, Russell didn't want to preempt that moment.
Yes.
Frankly, I can't get enough Jack.
Where Rose and the Doctor hug, and actually, Donna and Jack hug too, in the way we shot it.
And Jacqueline King,
fantastic.
And how Bernard Cribbins, what can you say?
Sir Bernard Cribbins, I say.
So do I. Every time I see him on screen, your just heart soars.
He does. He's wonderful. He is wonderful. And here we are again, back on Earth, and everything's back to normal.
Now, we did on the rushes not expect to see any extras in this scene.
Well, I did. I didn't actually come. I forgot where I was. Somewhere this
You're
day.
probably shooting a second unit
Probably
somewhere.
I am. And I was very shocked to see that there were extras in the back of the shots.
But it does work. Initially, Russell and I looked at him and went, oh, but the world's just come in. But actually, I think you kind of almost buy a time jump.
I suppose so. It's
and the joy of it, the joy of life's gone back to normal. I can absolutely see what we were doing.
Well, yes, I suppose so. Oh, this
Mickey
is a goodbye
Smith.
moment. Again, you see how he he serves all of these characters so brilliantly well, Russell, I think. That was a really important moment to play that would have been missed, actually, if we hadn't.
And of course we know what's coming now. For all this joy in the park, there is a big darkness about to enter our lives, Phil.
Well, 2, really.
Yeah. Absolutely. Bad Wolf Bay. And then Donna. Do you hate Bad Wolf Bay because it's so hard to film on?
Bad Wolf Bay is not my favourite place, I have to be honest with you.
What beach is it?
It's called... I'll have to come back to that in a second. I'll have to think. It's called... begins with an... Southern Down Beach. Southern Down Beach. For all you location spotters out there. It's very beautiful. But really inaccessible, actually. And of course, whenever you film on a beach, you're really obviously constricted by the tide times because it's just working against you. You know, the water's coming closer and closer.
Yeah. And
there comes a point where you just have to get off. You push it as far as you can go, and then you just have to get off to stop you being
And this day
stung.
wasn't easy, was it? Because we started with not enough hours in the day for what we needed to do anyway.
Yes.
Then the tide was coming in. Then you had sound problems. Was it local builders?
Yeah, we had local builders, so we had to stop all of that happening. And also, and obviously, it's just the complexity of it, again, because it's a big shoot on a difficult location, and there are 2 doctors. You know, so David's wearing the blue suit and we're shooting that way. So in the brown suit when we shoot the other way. And then there are also sequences where he's both doctors. And so there were green screens and things out. And it became incredibly impossible.
It's an amazingly beautiful beach. I mean, it is perfect.
It is. I mean, there are certain shots like those close-ups that we actually shot,
elsewhere.
cheated back up in the car park, so we were off the beach, the close-ups.
Which you can do.
Which you can do because you just need a sense that they're in the same sort of place.
Yeah.
Very, very difficult.
And Russell rewrote this scene.
Yeah.
Because, and I think really hit it, this draft, as soon as I read it.
Well, it was making it feel as huge as you want, really, because I think the last time we shot here and Rose said goodbye at the end of Series 2, I think he's genuinely one of the most iconic moments of this series ever, you know, since we brought it back. It's one of the moments everybody remembers that people really
and the
hold
skill,
as a turning point for the show.
And the skill was, why would Rose want to go back?
Yeah.
Why would she let that happen
choose to go
when
back?
she spent years of her life and you know she loves the
Trying
Doctor?
to
Why
find
go
him.
back? Even though he's got the same face, why? And it's because I'm going to say it, he can say I love you in her ear.
Yeah.
Even if we don't hear it, that's what he's saying, and our Doctor can't say that.
Well, and also she can have a proper life with him. You know, they can get old together. They can, you know, properly live together, and experience that life. I think that's the genius of this rewrite, actually. That she touches him and he has one beating heart, and also he needs her as well. The second
and the kiss
Doctor
works on this draft now, because on there's a first draft which didn't quite feel motivated, and I've wanted Rose and the Doctor to kiss since the end of season 2.
Yes.
Well, way before that, in fact. So here we are with our green screen.
Indeed. Incredibly difficult. And you'll see that suddenly the seas got much closer to them there in that shot.
Well, at no point were they up to their hips in it, so that was something.
Fair play.
Though, you know, close.
You can see how close it's getting now, though.
Were you kind of desperately anxious by that point?
Well, of course I was, yeah. You sit there. And, of course, we have a Coast Guard with us who's saying, right, that's it, off you go. And there's nothing I can do about that. You know, I can't stand there and say, oh, no, just give us 5 more minutes, please.
What I love about this scene is that it's a tragedy for the Doctor. I mean, look at his face there.
Yeah.
Watching what Rose's life will now be, the life he can't have.
Yeah, never.
He is at his best, isn't he, when he's silently suffering?
Well, and also he knows what he's got to go back and do now, too. It's heartbreaking, actually. As if you're not crying yet, faithful viewer.
Oh, gird your loins.
Gird your loins for this.
I howled, didn't I? Remember in the fine cut? I just can't bear it. And that was your great idea in the fine cut, to go back to that closer shot.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have that to mid-shot.
It's just the last memory of them really together.
And he knows.
He knows. He just
He
watches
said goodbye to Rose, knowing that this is going to happen to Donna.
Yeah.
And I think all tribute to Catherine Tate here. Such a deft, sensitive performance.
Yeah.
You care so much for her, don't you?
That moment there where she realises herself.
Oh.
That it's not right.
She's not fair.
No, it's not.
Life is just not fair, Phil.
Russell's just cruel, isn't he?
Well, it's just not fair. Oh, and the dawning realisation.
Oh.
We filmed this quite early in the schedule, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Really quite near the front.
Mm.
Week in or something like that. That's the other difficult thing for actors, I think. They really have to pitch their performances. And, you know, obviously they're filming everything in such a strange order. Imagine how they get the continuity into their head.
Yes, and sometimes you can watch rushes where the stories are out of order, the story days are out of order, and you can sometimes think actors aren't doing very much, and then it cuts together.
Yeah.
And it's the most extraordinary thing ever. Where they've got such a sense of it.
I wanted to be with you forever.
Oh,
that
don't.
line.
Well, faithful viewer, Phil's about to go now.
Oh,
all you hear is gulping as he kind of sobs into the microphone. Dear me. And I'm on a sofa with him alone.
Oh, but you've got to, Donna.
And the desperate kind of don't do it. It's so raw, isn't it?
It is. It's actually, I think, of all the goodbyes that we've had to do,
worst.
I think it's genuinely the worst.
It's so painful.
It's the cruelest.
It is the cruelest.
It's the cruelest.
But also there's something fundamental going on here, isn't it? Because you watch this and you watch it as a Doctor Who viewer thinking, that's what's been taken away from me.
Mm.
You are really empathising with not knowing that man or those adventures of those worlds that he's travelled in.
Yeah.
And all her time.
It's hard when you see that you forget it's just one series, really.
It feels more than that, doesn't it?
It does. It feels like they've been through so much together. Oh.
Oh, no.
And marvellous Bernard Cribbins.
Great interpreter for all of this.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because, of course, he becomes really, really the person who keeps the secret now.
Mm.
And what I do love, actually, though, is that you just know that as a result of this, you know, her life is going to be better. And, you know, her relationship with her mother's going to change, and that's going to get better.
Yes, the relationships are going to be
better.
better.
You know, that actually that all of this has unlocked something, I think, for
even if she doesn't know it.
Yeah, for her.
Mm.
And it will have changed her. Mm. I just, and this bit, and I cried when we shot this as well. I think just the truth of these three performances that are going on here. And was the
atmosphere on set for this scene different?
Yeah,
it was.
It was a little subdued. I think they all really felt the pain of it, actually. You know, because it was goodbye to Jacqueline and Bernard as well on this day. This was the last stuff that they filmed. And obviously it wasn't the last stuff Catherine filmed, but it was the kind of last time they would all be together. And it was sad. It was really genuinely sad, I think, you know. And I really think, as you say, that Bernard becomes an interpreter, and he did. He really set the tone. And I think we did his shots first, and
right.
he just
He's
you
such
know,
an
you can see him cry
actor.
there.
It's just so raw and open and honest.
Yeah, that's what I love about him. It's a real honesty.
He gets me every time. Mm. You know, even in the more romantic, you know, happier moments, like on the hill in the first episode where he's talking about the stars.
Mm-hmm. There's a brilliant Jacqueline line there, and she plays it absolutely, pitches it perfectly. That she still is important. She's my daughter.
But
like she's defending her, and it's a realisation all at once.
Yes, and I love the Doctor for not letting her just get away with that, saying, well, tell her a bit more.
And she will.
Yeah. So now we're coming up to the controversial bit, because there was an additional Catherine Tater's Donna beat after this, Goodbye from the Doctor, which is when he goes outside and he gets into the TARDIS. We cut back into the kitchen, and there's a moment, isn't there? A fleeting moment where Donna hears the
TARDIS. She turns and hears it, and then
carries on talking into the phone.
There's a moment of realisation, and then she turns back round and carries on talking into the phone. Which, faithful viewer, I have to tell you, was magnificent.
It was magnificent. It was absolutely magnificent, and I think it was untruthful. Not because of the performance, because the performance was brilliant, but it was unnecessary, because I felt that if she didn't recognise the Doctor in those scenes, or hint of who he was, why would she recognise the distant sound of the TARDIS? And actually it's a cheat, because there's nowhere to go. Because if she does remember the TARDIS and the Doctor, she's going to die. So what are we hoping for as a viewer there? What is it about? It's not true.
I think you've overanalyzed it.
But that's the truth of it. It's not right. It's hard, and we have to say goodbye to her like this. You have to have the pain of it. And I also think we're on David from this point. We're on the Doctor and his loneliness and his suffering, rather than going back.
Well, I'm sure at some point there'll be an opportunity
there will
for
be.
it to be back in.
It'll be on, and it will be marvellous. It is marvellous. But it felt we have to be brutal to be kind. Ruthless to be kind.
Poor David.
So wet.
Getting soaking wet. So there's a great big crane above him with water pouring down onto him.
And this, look at that face.
And he look up on her behalf at the stars like he always did.
So
what
Phil,
a secret for him to carry.
So Phil, this is the last episode of a Doctor Who series that you and I do.
The last time I'll do
some more specials, but this is my my last series episode. And you, how do you feel?
Sad. Yeah, I suppose I do. Very sad. It's been a huge journey and an enormous life-altering experience. And it's sort of, I don't think I'll ever get over that, in a sense. Do anything ever quite like it in my life.
No, it's not possible.
But it's been magnificent.
It has. Been fantastic. Look at his face there.
Thank you to
And we had to pick up some shots there to extend that.
Yes, we did.
It was all very brief, wasn't it? Just to get back to the nuts and bolts of it, rather than the emotion of your last episode.
Yeah.
That was marvellous.
Brilliant cast and crew.
We ended up...
Big thanks to the
marvellous
marvellous
Thank you to all of them, every single one of them.
Names.
And we've ended up on the sofa together. Two of us.
We have.
The
two of us for the very end. Oh.
Thank you so much. You've been amazing.
Well, it's been my absolute pleasure.
Thank you, faithful viewer.
Thank you, faithful viewer, and we hope you enjoyed that episode, because just as much as we
loved
did.
it.
We can now get back to munching away on our
sandwich platter.
On our sandwich platter that's in front of us, egg, mayonnaise in brown bread.
We know how to live.
We do.
Thank you very much. Bye.
And good night.